Hey there, it's another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
Conspiracy theories that everyone knows is true, part 1. Everyone knows the story of the man that invented an engine that ran on nothing but water that supposedly was able to go 845 miles between fill-ups. Somebody from the oil and gas industry got upset and got this guy whacked off basically in broad daylight. They poisoned him and found unalived. I'm going to take it a step further on this. Not only do I think oil and gas industries are doing everything they can to stop people from inventing things like this, I think they're also stopping the advancement of just regular combustion engines and their mileage. I find it very strange that outside of going to a hybrid or an electric vehicle, that the overall gas mileage of engines really has not changed in many, many decades. Considering how much things have gotten advanced in everything else in society, I don't think it's really that possible that there's no way big companies like Toyota or Honda or Ford can't find a way to have an engine that's not a hybrid or electric that can add more mileage to a vehicle. But everyone knows this is true, and this is another thing that nobody steps up and does anything about because they're scared they're also going to go get whacked off.
Now that's something that I never really considered. That fuel economy is pretty much, remains stagnant in internal combustion engines. You'd think somebody would come along and be like, hey, I can make this car go 10 miles per gallon more. But then again, the fuel companies are like, don't you dare. Don't you dare, because that tinkers with their pockets. I get it. That's interesting. That is super interesting. Oh, and don't worry, I caught that he said whacked off.
If you thought the Milky Way was massive, just wait until you experience the cosmic web. The Milky Way belongs to a cluster of galaxies called the Local Galaxy Group, a local cluster containing 30 or so other neighboring galaxies. Zooming out, we'll come across the Virgo supercluster, which holds an impressive 2,000 galaxies. Zooming out even more, the Laniakea supercluster contains almost 100,000 galaxies. And if we zoom out to the max, we will come across the grandest structure in the universe, the cosmic web. This web, or a combination of gas, dust, and galaxies, was formed from tiny particle fluctuations in the early universe that magnified as the universe expanded, thus creating regions of higher density like galaxy superclusters connected by gas and dust, and lower density regions called voids that contain very few galaxies. On the grandest scales, the universe looks like animal neurons, almost as if we were part of one giant brain.
I love videos like this. It's a little humbling. It makes you realize how small we truly are in this huge cosmic web, right? Even in our own galaxy, how infinitesimal, this big we are, right? Compared to the whole grand scheme of things. At the same time, it makes you feel like you're part of something so big. Like when we break down molecules and atoms and we get protons, electrons, and even string theory, right? We're like that to something else, even bigger. And like you said, it looks like a brain map, which is pretty interesting. So if the cosmic web is a brain map and we're just part of this gigantic thing's brain, how fantastic is that? That is just mind-boggling and super, super cool to think about.
One of the most common forms of free energy suppression? Black shelving, or buyouts, where people in power offer a lot of money to somebody who creates a free energy device and they take it instead of giving it to the public.
Because the rich need to stay rich.
That the crop circle was not here on the previous day but had appeared on the following morning was a fact. That John Whaley was here at dawn could be confirmed by a military patrol that happened to be jogging by at the time. John went to the local pub later that same day and showed his film to the people there. Even so, many believe that he had managed to manipulate the film with computer animation in the meantime, something that computer animation experts doubt. To overlay a perfect animation over a handheld, unstable film would need several days of work using the computer equipment of that time. Even today, the film is still a great mystery, and John has gone underground due to the intense interest that his film created.
I love aliens. That video, I remember when that video came out. I was a teenager. Yes, I'm that old. I know. And it is still just as cool as I remember it being when I saw it for the first time. And it just furthered my desire to learn more about aliens and perhaps my obsession a little bit. But it's okay. It's a healthy obsession for the most part.
Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? It's me, Oscar G. Submitted for your perusal is U.S. patent number 6506148-B2, nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors. Now, I'm not going to tell you what this is. Let's go ahead and read it together to see exactly what this does. Abstract. Physiological effects have been observed in a human subject in response to stimulation of the skin with weak electromagnetic fields that are pulsed at certain frequencies near the half hertz or 2.4 hertz, such as to excite a sensory resonance. Many computer monitors and TV tubes, when displaying pulsed images, emit pulsed electromagnetic fields of sufficient amplitudes to cause such excitation. It is therefore possible to manipulate the nervous system. Let me read that again. It is therefore possible to manipulate the nervous system of a subject by pulsing images displayed on a nearby computer monitor or TV set. For the latter, the image pulsing may be embedded in the program material, or it may be overlaid by modulating a video stream, either as an RF signal, radio frequency, or as a video signal. The images displayed on a computer monitor may be pulsed effectively by a simple computer program. For certain monitors, pulsed electromagnetic fields capable of exciting sensory resonances in nearby subjects may be generated even as the displayed images are pulsed with subliminal intensity. In other words, to manipulate you without even knowing it as you're watching your TV show or as you're watching whatever you're watching on TV or YouTube. They're just going to go ahead and do whatever they want. Interesting. So, by embedding pulsating images hidden inside the TV shows that we like, Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, TikTok, your own vehicle has a monitor of some sort. All of it does now, almost. They're controlling our central nervous system. What is the central nervous system responsible for? Everything. Your cognitive functions, your homeostasis in general, your behaviors, your emotions, your endocrine system, your autonomic functions, all of it can be manipulated by being near a monitor of any kind. That's pretty much everywhere now. If this is not an example of gross agency manipulation, I don't know what is.
I know that one was long. Thanks for hanging with me. I couldn't bring myself to edit it down or even cut it out because I think that the message is just absolutely incredible. They have found that to be, a thing. Like the TV, computer monitors, embedded frequencies and stuff like that, altering your brainwaves. I know that commercials have to have been using it for a long time, right? Because you see certain things on the commercials that would not normally trigger a certain response in your brain, and suddenly you're hungry, or suddenly you decide, I need to go shop at this store, and you never have before, or you don't normally, right? And you're out and you're like, I remember this, and then you're like, go. And that's not something you would normally do. So I totally think that's absolutely happening. I mean, commercials have to be doing that to target. I mean, I already know that they use colors to target you, like in their ads. Red, yellow, and green supposedly make people feel hunger. So that's why a lot of companies, these food companies, look at them, their logos and their commercials, red, yellow, and green. They elicit hunger for some reason. I think it's interesting. It's very, very important to know.
Protect this man at all costs. This is Parker Edmondson, who went viral for successfully replicating an Earth-saving free energy solution first created by the famous Nikola Tesla. Edmondson explains how it works by sending electricity wirelessly through the Earth to a receiver that can power electronics like a light bulb, for example. What some people are calling the Nikola Tesla of our generation was recently invited to speak at the Energy, Science, and Technology Convention in Spokane, Washington. He had the opportunity to explain and demo his invention, but other than that, there has been no major press on this life-changing discovery. Regardless, his intentions stay pure as he is still focused on using this tech to improve Mother Earth. Let's just hope no one tries to leverage this tech in order to monetize. At the very least, we can support him by spreading the word. But more importantly,
in other words, protect this fella at all costs. because he's reestablishing that this technology is viable and he's like showing everybody. So either he's going to be taken out, like we just discussed, or he's going to be bought out and then it's just going to be black shelved. And then nobody's going to get it again, some more. So I did take a look at this guy, this Parker Edmondson. Fantastic. We're going to check out a few of his videos over the next few days because I am just amazed with this young fella.
Russia took pyramids and they hollowed them out. They built hollow pyramids in a laboratory setting outside. And they began to plant crops underneath the pyramids and took the same exact type of crops, planted them on the outside of the pyramid. And in these experiments, the crops they planted inside the pyramid structure in the sacred geometry grew almost twice as fast and were almost twice as abundant as the ones that were planted on the outside in the same exact soil. So they found out that there's something to do with the angles, right? Accessing these angles or these angels, to accessing this higher dimensional energy that feeds the third dimension that can be harnessed and utilized by third dimensional life forms. And so, this is incredible because then that same experiment was replicated many times. And we now know that a pyramid structure harnesses natural energy, not just harnesses it, but can actually transmute it into living things.
So I've had a difficult time watching Billy Carson videos ever since I learned that these emerald tablets of Thoth could very possibly be absolutely fake. And I can't, there was so much that he talks about that I have watched over the last few months that I just cling to because I love the theories. And like the Anunnaki, that's one of my favorite stories, and a bunch of other things that he talks about that I adore. So finally I brought myself to listen to Billy Carson again and watch some of his stuff because I don't think that he's a complete whack job. I think that there are some things that he may have given a lot of his faith to that may not necessarily be accurate, but we're all guilty of that. Right? So, bygones be bygones. We're not going to talk about the emerald tablets of Thoth anymore, but now we're on to these Russian pyramid experiments. I'm going to look a little deeper. I found another video. Let's check it out.
In Russia and the USSR, the Institution of Physics in Kyiv, Ukraine, which is a military research institution, they did an experiment starting with two pyramids at a 70-degree slope. One was 22 meters and one was 44 meters. These alone costed $1 million to build. 17 of these have been built, and the results were astonishing. First of all, this is an example of pure sacred geometry. There was no metal constructed in it. Fiberglass, that's 100% plastic. Water wouldn't freeze inside the pyramid. It also gained a glucose medicinal value. They gave this to infants, and their levels would rise to normal instantly. Premature infants, I'm sorry. And we have an antiviral compound in our body. Inside the pyramid, it was threefold. These mice that they infected with diseases and tumors, awful. Inside the pyramid, depending like what the circumstance, it was 60% survival inside the pyramid, 7% survival outside. 30% survival inside, 3% survival outside, so astonishing numbers. Electrical resistivity in carbon and silicone. The plant growth around the pyramids were 100% increase. Extinct flowers returned. The ground around was 20% stronger. And this strange little phenomenon happened when they put crystal and granite on the ground. Circles would form around it. And I don't think it's a mystery why they chose these compounds, crystal and granite. These ancient stone circles that are conducting our energy lines, our ley lines. I think they know the significance of them.
So one thing that she said that Billy Carson also said was sacred geometry. So the shape of it must be like either bringing in or amplifying certain chemical components or chemical reactions inside of your body or inside of these elements or inside of these plants that causes everything to produce better. It kind of makes me think like a greenhouse because in a greenhouse, the plants grow better on the inside than they do on the outside. So it must allow like certain sun properties to amplify inside of the body or the plant to encourage growth. That's just my tiny understanding of scientific properties. Teeny tiny, very tiny, so small. I could be completely wrong, but it's really interesting, this sacred geometry, how we see it around the world and how it's used and how it's revered. It's pretty neat. On that note, I'm going to call it for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Come on back tomorrow. We'll watch new videos. I'll say different stuff and it'll be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day.